Hello there, you're watching Debrief on CNN News 18. I'm Maha Siddiqui. The fate of over 600 candidates contesting for 58 seats in the Phase 1 of the Uttar Pradesh elections has been sealed in the EVMs. 11 districts went to the polls today, largely in western Uttar Pradesh and some in Doab. But it is West UP that may end up deciding who sits in the Chief Minister's chair. Over the next half an hour, we'll take you through all the nuances of politics of western Uttar Pradesh, from Kamandal politics as opposed to the Mandal politics in eastern UP, and to the Kisans and their issues. What has been the deciding factor for the parties today? So the voter turnout in Phase 1 seems to range between 50 to 60%, which is certainly not bad for a state that for the first time ever in 2017 voted above 50%. Now, even though it was a cold winter morning, voters started queuing up since 7 a.m. as the polling booths opened. From first-time voters to the elderly, not wanting to miss out on their chance to choose their representatives. Pieced together are inputs from a battery of reporters on the field spread across the region in Phase 1.
The festival of democracy is finally upon us. The one day when netas descend from their ivory towers and put their hopes on the Aam Janta. Whether it be the threat of a pandemic or the biting chill and fog, it seemed nothing could keep voters away.
Since the time polling has started, encouraging number of people can be seen here, as you can see in the visuals as well. Long lines have started seen in this particular seat.
It was very foggy morning in Muzaffarnagar, but early morning voters are all here. Let me start with the senior citizens who came in first. सुबह-सुबह आकर वोट दिया इतनी ठंड में, क्या मोटिवेशन है? क्यों लगा कि सुबह-सुबह आकर अपना ये अधिकार आपको यूज करना चाहिए?
हम भाजपा को जिताना चाहते हैं, जो उनके उसमें प्रेम है, रात में मुश्किल नींद आई। ये चाहते हैं कि सुबह ही आके भाजपा को वोट दें, वो जीतें, योगी जी आए।
In fact, a couple even put their wedding vows on hold to fulfill their democratic duty first.
This is a marriage party which is about to take the Bharat to Deoband from Muzaffarnagar. The Dulha has just cast his vote and gone, the bridegroom. The family members have just asked them to stop here for a bit. They're also in a rush. घर में शादी है, but वोट से आप लोगों ने समझौता नहीं किया।
जी
हाँ, सुबह-सुबह आ गए वोट देने के लिए। हाँ, आप भी, मतलब आपके बड़े भाई की शादी है, बताइए कैसे?
मेरे बड़े भाई की शादी है और सबसे पहले उन्हें दिया है, उसके बाद हम आए हैं। तो वो कर चुके हैं वोट अपना, हम कर चुके हैं वोट, और वोट हमारे लिए सबसे पहले जरूरी है।
But away from the band, baja, barat and ballot, there were serious issues on which citizens were keen to make their vote count.
हम तो बीजेपी को वोट देंगे जी। मुद्दा क्या? मुद्दा तो यही गुंडागर्दी खत्म हो रही, बस ये है।
मुद्दे तो बहुत हैं। देखिए, नोएडा को पिछले 2 साल में काफी प्रॉब्लम्स फेस करनी पड़ी हैं। कोविड की वजह से इन जनरल हमारे यहाँ पे बिजली का प्रॉब्लम है, पानी का प्रॉब्लम है, सेफ्टी का बहुत बड़ा इशू है।
As the day wore on, the queues lengthened and the turnout figures rose impressively.
लंबी तादाद यहाँ पर लंबी लाइनें यहाँ पर देखने को मिल सकती हैं पोलिंग बूथ पर। सरधना की जो जनता है वो बड़ी तादाद में पोलिंग बूथ पर आ रही है वोट डालने के लिए।
There could have been no state more complex, more colorful to kick off the Chunav than Uttar Pradesh. 1 round gone, 6 more to go. The game is well and truly on. With Bureau Inputs, Ritanshu Bhattacharya for CNN News 18.
Well, so what were the compelling issues which made the voters step out and step in? In this agrarian belt, of course, for many, especially in rural areas, Kisan ka haq was priority. Elsewhere, issues ranged from law and order to development.
From Kanun to Kheti, Vikas to Vishwas. The battle for Uttar Pradesh's Wild West was fought across multiple fronts, keeping netas on their toes throughout. NCRB data for 2021 shows that crime in UP is the lowest it has been in 7 years. Something every politician has harped on in every poll campaign. The term Dangawadi became the BJP's war cry in Uttar Pradesh to target the Samajwadi Party.
Voting for the type of security environment that is there. There are no land grabbers, there are no mafias, there are no people from whom your daughters and sisters were scared of. And overall, there is stability.
मैं एक महिला होने के नाते बता सकती हूँ, अगर मैं अपनी प्राइवेट गाड़ी में भी रात के समय निकलूँ तो मैं नोएडा में सुरक्षित नहीं महसूस करती हूँ। तो सुरक्षा का जो मुद्दा है, मुझे लगता है उत्तर प्रदेश में लगातार वो बना हुआ है और महिलाओं के लिए खासकर सुरक्षा के मुद्दे पे बहुत कुछ अभी करने के।
Law and order also seems to be one of the biggest issues on every voter's mind.
नोएडा को लास्ट पिछले 2 साल में काफी प्रॉब्लम्स फेस करनी पड़ी हैं। कोविड की वजह से इन जनरल हमारे यहाँ पे बिजली का प्रॉब्लम है, पानी का प्रॉब्लम है, सेफ्टी का बहुत बड़ा इशू है।
सुरक्षा के मुद्दे पर सब ये चाहते हैं, पढ़े लिखे बच्चे लड़कियां, कि नहीं हमारी सुरक्षा रहे, देश हित का रहे, और योगी जी से ज्यादा सुरक्षा इस समय किसी ने नहीं दी।
In Kairana, it's a political feud between a daughter and a sister. The scars of the 2013 Hindu exodus still fresh in many minds.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी को वोट करके जवाब देगी। कितनी अभूतपूर्व सुरक्षित वो महसूस कर रही है।
According to various NCRB reports, the crime against women has increased, against girls have increased, against the OBCs, against the SC/STs. The crime rate has only increased. So I don't know what law and order they're talking about.
But the most decisive issue could still be agriculture. Uttar Pradesh is the country's biggest sugarcane growing and producing state. In 2021, there were 27.4 lakh hectares under sugarcane in UP.
इतने कम समय में यूपी को 12,000 करोड़ रुपए गन्ने से जो इथेनॉल बना ना, 12,000 करोड़ रुपया इथेनॉल से मिले हैं जो उत्तर प्रदेश के काम आ रहे हैं।
But sugarcane farmers allege that they are owed dues worth 4,000 crores. It is also something that the Samajwadi Party has addressed in its manifesto, promising prompt payments to sugarcane farmers within 15 days. Outside the sugarcane belt, remaining seats fall in potato crop-driven agrarian economy. Potato crop that would fetch farmers 46 rupees a kilo last year was 6 rupees a kilo this year.
सारी जातियों के खिलाफ थे, कानून थे कृषि के, और आप बात कर रहे हो एक जाति से, तो टारगेट क्या है एक जाति को बदनाम करने का? तो कोई न कोई साजिश है ना।
Unemployment is a national issue, but in Uttar Pradesh, employment has seen a sharp decline in the past 5 years. In December 2016, 15.39 million youth had jobs. By 2021, the population of youth had grown 9 million and the total employed shrunk by 3 million. With large-scale infrastructure projects being announced, jobs will be created in the state, but how many is the question. In the largest state in the largest democracy, votes are won and lost on a range of issues. Some personal, others political. Natasha Menden for CNN News 18.
So let's go across to now our reporters on the field. Nikhil is joining us live from Mathura. Nikhil, this seat where you are standing in is slightly different from many other seats because we are largely seeing a contest between the BJP and the SP and RLD combined. Now the seat of Mathura is different. Take us through the contest here and did it go off well today as far as the arrangements were concerned?
So Maha, as you have rightly mentioned, this is one such rare seat where the contest is directly between the Congress and the BJP candidate. From Bharatiya Janata Party, the sitting MLA Shrikant Sharma, who is also Minister of Power in the UP cabinet, is contesting from this particular seat again. And from Congress Party, 4-time MLA Pradeep Mathur is going to contest, and he was very much assured of his victory, saying that the people are now angry with Shrikant Sharma because Shrikant Sharma was hardly seen during last 5 years, and many of the irresponsible things have also been done by Shrikant Sharma. And when we tried to speak to Shrikant Sharma in person, he said that we are the ones who actually bring the development issues in the ground. Opposition says that हम करेंगे, but हम कर ही देते हैं. BJP are the one who have already given many of the respite to many of the people in different section of society. So the contest obviously is going to be very interesting for Mathura seat. If we talk about the overall voter turnout, 58%. Close to 60% is the total voter turnout for this particular seat, and encouraging numbers were seen since this morning. Also, people have couple of issues. We have talked to some of the people since morning. They were saying that despite the anti-incumbency factor, what is going in the favor of the sitting MLA is that the people, the voters are now seeing the top brass of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Looking at the Modi and Yogi factor, people of Mathura are now going to vote. So this is certain issues which were, raised by the people. They are definitely angry with the sitting MLA, but, they are going to manage in some way or the other. Maha.
All right, Nikhil, stay on with us. Let me also go across to Arunima, who's joining us from Muzaffarnagar. Arunima, have there been any last-minute complaints to the Election Commission like we see many of the times? What is the overall assessment by the Election Commission of Phase 1?
Yes, throughout the day, Samajwadi Party handle kept putting out, instances of booths in various constituencies where the EVM was malfunctioning. Complaints were made. There were a few law and order kind of situation as well. There was one situation in Shamli where the police had to use force. There was another situation in Muzaffarnagar as well where allegations were made by the BJP candidate against a local, and he was thrashed as well. So such complaints have come through the day, but the overall voting percentage is definitely encouraging. It appears to be more than what it was last time. In whose favor this additional vote goes, that we'll have to wait and see. But since morning, since we've been travelling around Western UP, we could see the enthusiasm amongst voters, and very vocal voters this time on both sides. Both those who supported the current government and those who complained about incumbency, both of them were very vocal with their logic. We're just waiting for the Election Commission to give us the final update on how how the first phase has really gone in terms of voter turnout.
Arunima, so you are suggesting that the voter turnout has been pretty good, between 50 to 60%, almost matching what it was the last time around, which was in itself a record. Do analysts say anything about the numbers of the voter turnout, what that indicates?
See, if I start from Shamli, Muzaffarnagar, Meerut, I think about the figures that I had were till about 5:30. It was the lowest at around 55-58%. Every other constituency had crossed 62 minimum. Shamli at around 5:30 was maximum at 65%. Muzaffarnagar was at 62%. Bagpat was also touching that figure of 62-63, and this was the assessment at 5:30, which means voters who were present in the booth till about 3 o'clock or 3:30, those have been accounted for. And even then, at the Muzaffarnagar booth that I was at, people were still trickling in, they were still queuing in. Election Commission rules are very clear. If you reach the booth before polling is closed, your vote will be allowed, you will be counted. So the final figures could actually be more than 65%, touching 70% as well in these constituencies. We'll have to wait and see for the final numbers, though still waiting for that. Whether it goes in favor of BJP or the opposition, that we'll have to wait and see.
Yes, absolutely. 10th of March is going to tell us that. Many thanks, Arunima and Nikhil, both of you, for joining us. I know it's extremely cold there in Western Uttar Pradesh, as we've been pointing out that despite the cold, our reporters are out there getting us the very latest, and the voters stepped out as well to cast their ballot. Now, Western Uttar Pradesh went to the polls on the back of the repeal of the 3 contentious farm laws, for which the farmers were protesting for a year. The SPRLD alliance believes that they have been able to channel this anger to their advantage and create a winning Jat-Muslim combine. But the BJP wasn't giving up so easily, pitching its best to woo the Jats back just ahead of the polling. Arunima gets us a roundup of the caste and community dynamics and why they matter.
Western Uttar Pradesh, Meerut, Muzaffarnagar, Bagpat, Shamli, Saharanpur. The region that started the turnaround for Bharatiya Janata Party in 2014 and continued to help the lotus bloom in 2017 and 19. Of the 66 assembly constituencies where Jats dominate, BJP bagged 50 in 2017. In the Garh of Chaudhary Charan Singh and Ajit Singh, only one RLD MLA won in 2017 and he too crossed over to BJP later. As per CSDS Lokniti survey, 77% of the Jats voted for BJP in 2014 Lok Sabha polls. In 2019, the numbers went up to 90%. In 2022 though, the water from the hand pump is threatening to drown the lotus.
एक साल तक किसान आंदोलन दिल्ली में किसानों का भूख प्यास से चमस्सा बरसात सब तरह सहन करी और फसल उसकी बर्बाद हुई। यहाँ पे समय पे उसको खाद बीज नहीं दे पाया, सिंचाई नहीं कर पाया।
And farmer leaders like Rakesh Tiket asked his community today as it voted not to forget the last 1 year of protests.
सारी जातियों के खिलाफ थे हुए कानून थे कृषि के, और आप बात कर रहे हो एक जाति से, तो टारगेट क्या है एक जाति को बदनाम करने का? तो कोई ना कोई साजिश है ना? हाँ, साजिश है ये पकड़ी आप सबकी तरफ से आदरणीय अमित भाई शाह जी को।
It was to curtail this sentiment that one of BJP's biggest leaders, Amit Shah, reached out to Jat leaders 2 weeks ago. His earlier intervention with the Jat community in 2017 had helped overturn the angst over quota.
अंतिम सांस तक आजादी रहे।
But is the issue of livelihood this time trickier to manage?
राजा राव राम बख्श सिंह जी की भूमि है।
देखिए, ये चुनाव पूरा का पूरा हम लोग पिछले 5 साल प्रदेश सरकार और 7.5 साल केंद्र सरकार में जो हमारे काम हुए, हम उनके आधार पर लड़ रहे हैं। अच्छा इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, अच्छी सड़कें, 24 घंटे बिजली, बहुत बढ़िया लॉ एंड ऑर्डर, और साथ के साथ 12 से 17 उनकी नाकामयाबी जो अखिलेश यादव की सरकार रही है, क्योंकि अखिलेश यादव नए किसान प्रेमी है।
The fight over the Jat votes boils down to the very basic calculation in western Uttar Pradesh. The region has more than an average percentage of Jats and Muslims in this part of UP. The SP RLD hopes it can bring the 18% Jats and 29% Muslims to take a lead in the race. The BJP hope it can once again consolidate the Jats under a large Hindu ambit to gain momentum. Western Uttar Pradesh sets the tone for the next 6 phases, and so the fight got well and truly underway on Thursday from the word go. While the entire focus in Western Uttar Pradesh seems to be on Jats and Muslims, the non-Jat Hindus, the Dalits, Gujars, Tyagis, Lodhs, are also a factor the Bharatiya Janata Party is looking at. On their own, they may not be numerically strong, but if consolidated, they could be a counter to the Jat-Muslim Bhaichara. The RLD-SP Mahagathbandhan, though, is hoping that the often repeated saying in these parts comes true, that jiske Jat, uski Thaat. With video journalist Ravinder from Muzaffarnagar, this is Arunima.
So from West UP, we'll now head to the second phase. Voting will be held for 55 assembly seats across the districts, across 9 districts rather, on the 14th of February. So these districts largely fall in Rohelkhand, which is essentially northwest Uttar Pradesh, centered around Rampur, Muradabad and Bareilly. So let's take a look now at how this area voted during the 2017 Vidhan Sabha elections and 2019 Lok Sabha elections. This is our full picture for the year 2017, and let's go to our filters now for phase 2, which votes for 55 seats on the 14th of February. What do we have in the year 2017? It's very clear that there was a saffron surge once again over here. 38 seats captured by the BJP. The SP had 15 seats in 2017. The vote share is also something that you must remember over here for the BJP as opposed to Western Uttar Pradesh. The vote share here slightly less, but still nonetheless around the bracket of 40%. Now what we will do is we will quickly take a look at whether the BJP was able to maintain this momentum in the year 2019, which is a Lok Sabha election, just to see whether that momentum was maintained by the BJP. So what do we have if we break down the Lok Sabha seats into assembly seats? So the numbers going down slightly for the BJP. 27 was the figure at that time, and this is because we saw some sort of consolidation for the SP-BSP, because both these parties, as was called the Bua Bhatija combination, fought together, managing to get a sizable number of seats there, wresting some of the seats from the BJP. This was the situation in 2019. Whether the momentum that the BJP has in this region, whether they will be able to maintain that or not, that's the big question now. And that certainly would be something that the BJP would be looking out for. Let's quickly compare the situation with 2012 as well, to give you a broader perspective of how Rohilkhand has been voting over a period of time. So let's go across now to 2012, which was again a Vidhan Sabha election, and the tables were turned, as you can clearly see over here. The SP was there leading with 27 seats, though the vote share of the Samajwadi Party was around 28%, close to 30%. We saw a big jump there. As you remember, the BJP managing about 40% of the vote share 5 years down the line. That was in 2017 Lok Sabha elections, and the BJP did not fare that well in the same region of Rohilkhand that we are talking about in the year 2012, managing only 8 seats. Their vote share, as you can see, was 16%. So what happened in 2017 was that their vote share went up by almost 24%. So that was a big jump, and that is exactly what the BJP is hoping is going to take them through during these elections as well. Of course, West UP is what sets the momentum for the next phase, and that is why Western Uttar Pradesh is considered important, especially for the BJP, which believes that they do gain momentum in West UP. So we'll have to wait to see what both sides, that is the SP-RLD alliance and the BJP, from tomorrow talk about West UP and its influence further down in the next 6 phases of the election. That's it then for the moment. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
के पहले बिजली आती थी क्या? 2017 के पहले फ्री में राशन मिलता था क्या? वे तो सब खा जाते थे।
कि जो उन्होंने संकल्प पत्र में लिखा था, क्या आज जनता को सब कुछ मिला है?
People are returning here. They are opening their shops. They are opening their business establishments.
Against the OBCs, against the SC/STs, the crime rate has only increased.